So, I've been up to stuff. My Silent Kimbly video didn't get too many views, but in the following months, I decided to dig into Silent Kimbly quite a bit more and spent my time making various things related to the comic. Some of these things are fan art, while other things are just posts relating to the comic. But the ultimate culmination of all my Silent Kimbly fanaticism is this. This is the Silent Kimbly Iceberg, the compendium of various SK facts that I've discovered. No, this is not a joke, nor is it a parody. This is a whopping total of 35 facts relating to Silent Kimbly as a comic and franchise, but since we've already covered some facts in my previous video, we'll explain just 27. Some of the content in this iceberg may be stuff you've heard in my other SK video, 8 facts to be exact, but a lot of it is stuff I've discovered after the video was made, and let me tell you, there is a lot of it. If you haven't watched my previous video on Silent Kimbly, now might be a good time to go and check it out, as it deserves a lot more attention than it's currently been getting these days. This video may or may not be the final chapter in my Silent Kimbly series of videos, but even if it isn't, you probably won't need another video about Silent Kimbly with all the information I'm about to dump into your noggin. I present to you all the Silent Kimbly Iceberg. For starters, I'll start with the uppermost layer of the iceberg. This layer contains basic Silent Kimbly knowledge, such as the comic's name being a pun, which I discussed in my original SK video, the site being down, also discussed in my SK video, and the comic's roster of characters, which was, you get the picture. For ease of viewing, let's skip this layer and head directly towards the layer beneath it. We're at the second uppermost layer. Things are still somewhat familiar, and you may have seen some of these facts in my previous Silent Kimbly video, such as the Silent Kimbly cosplay. The rest, however, need a bit of explaining. The reason I think the site was hacked by Russians is because in one of Ryan CS's later blog entries, you can see the text Rublik Bublik. I know Ryan definitely didn't put that there, and I think the text has something to do with the Russian currency, the ruble. In the past, there were also guest comics made for Silent Kimbly, however, I was only able to find one intact comic, this one by Mike Ringo. That's a shame, because there are other guest comics I would have loved to have gotten to see. Ryan CS has probably unintentional knack for misspelling stuff on his site and in the actual strips for Silent Kimbly. I'm not sure why this is for some reason. Remember Ferguson? Well, if you observe the area around his neck. What is that thing? It appears to be some sort of silver rectangle. Basic instinct might prompt one to assume that it's a zipper, if this immediately raises a red flag. If that's a zipper, then what is Ferguson? Is he truly the species he appears to be, or is he what, wearing one of those onesies from Joshua and the Promised Land? Alternate theories are just as deep and dark. There's just a sliver of a chance that the zipper is actually a dog tag, meaning that Ferguson might be a war veteran. Whatever the case, I think we're putting way too much thought into what was meant to be a silly joke, but still, you never know. Just don't take your eyes off Fergie. So far, the iceberg seems pretty sane, but if we go further down a bit, things become even more obscure and unfamiliar. I discussed Kimbly Chronicles, Silent Kimbly New Idea, and Silent Kimbly's affiliation with Funbrain in my past SK video, but there are 2 other items here we need to discuss. There are a series of recurring background characters in Silent Kimbly, one appearing in the comics' early years, one of them appearing in the site's more modern era, and one appearing in between. Let's call them Lion Kid, Mr. Blue, and Strawberry Man. The main thing separating these characters from the rest of the cast is the fact that, well, they're not in the cast. There are a total of 6 characters in the cast, but these 3 characters don't have promo art, descriptions, or even names, yet they still appear from time to time, and even the audience has caught wind of this curious enigma. Before sometime in 2007, Kimbly had an older design, while the modern Kimbly has a more soft design with puppy hair and a dress-like outfit. This older version of Kimbly has spiky hair and a more vest-like outfit with an orb in its middle. Strips with classic Kimbly tend to have more attitude, whereas modern strips feel more child-oriented in the vein of children's books. This should be apparent, especially considering how different not just the designs but even the art styles in SK's modern classic strips are. Around layer 4, we start to get into the gold mine of Kimbly lore. In my original Silent Kimbly video, I discussed how Ryan Sears was trying to pitch a Kimbly cartoon, which is the only recognizable item in this layer. As for the other facts, there are approximately 7 items I haven't covered yet. Alongside New Idea, there is another Silent Kimbly book titled Playtime. This isn't as much as an original story as it is a collection of Silent Kimbly strips. I've noticed the fact that this book features a step-by-step process and promises to hold details of Kimbly and Tenderness's early designs. Interestingly, the book was also advertised in a comic book where it said that the book could be bought off Lulu.com, the same site that sold New Idea. So it's strange why only New Idea is being sold. But hold on to your horses, because there are at least 3 of the Silent Kimbly books: Clip Art, Courtney Loves On, and Sylph's Dinner. Due to the broken images from the Wayback Machine's archives, other than the fact that there are also compendiums of Kimbly strips, not much is known about these books or the strips they contain. On certain archives of Silent Kimbly's homepage, you can see a Flash file. Since Adobe Flash died in 2020, you can't see it by normal means. However, with this neat little Flash player called Supernova that I have, the unplayable becomes playable, and when we use another file, we get nothing. I'm sorry, but that's literally what happened. However, there are also Silent Kimbly wallpapers available for downloads on archives of the site. Not much else to say here other than the fact that there are quite a few of them, at least 4 in fact. Apparently, Silent Kimbly used to have a Wikipedia article, but it was removed because it wasn't real to Wikipedia, whatever that means. However, I've been unable to find details on what exactly happened here. Whatever the case, this is actually sort of sad, because I believe Ryan Sears had high hopes for Silent Kimbly. If you hover over the contact button on some archives of the site, it shows a picture of Kimbly receiving praise and attention, and Ryan Sears' YouTube channel username is Ryan Kimbly, further suggesting that Silent Kimbly was probably Ryan Sears' beloved brainchild. So it's actually sort of sad that the comic died the way it did. But that's why I'm making this video. And Kimbly and Ferguson are actually misspellings of Kimberly and Ferguson. Honestly, I should have realized this by now. Approaching the bottom layer, things start to get really weird. There are about 6 items here, but you'll see for yourself. Apparently, some Silent Kimbly comics in the classic era tended to go down the path of the weird and bizarre. Well, not as much weird and bizarre as it is, you'll see. Been warning, things are about to get really edgy, so you might want to prepare yourself for any sort of cutting edge edginess. So, without further ado. Yeah. This isn't the only edgy Silent Kimbly strip. but at least another few silent Kimbly strips that really make you question which audience this comic is intended for, such as there is or was apparently a Silent Kimbly podcast available on iTunes, and it got at least 2 episodes. However, I'm not sure if it's still available or not. Kimbly was also available on something called Clickwheel, but I'm unsure about the significance of this. I never really liked Ferguson, but it turns out that Ferguson was never a fan favorite. Ryan Sears once said that when he puts Ferguson in his comics, people tended to not like that. This is probably a coincidence, but Kimbly has the same pink-colored yellow scheme as Bantam's glasses and has orange and yellow horns coming from her head like Homestuck's trolls. In fact, the name Silent Kimbly even has the same naming pattern for Homestuck's trolls, 6 letters in the first and second words respectively. Deltarune's second chapter may have been created long after Silent Kimbly ended, but Homestuck's trolls first appeared in 2010, which is around after Kimbly's orange and yellow ears first appeared. Since the end of December 2022, spam bots have started appearing with a Silent Kimbly tag at Tumblr. Nearly every day, a spam post with the tag Silent Kimbly shows up at least once. Aside from tagging posts with Silent Kimbly, they also tag posts with the names of actors, characters from object shows, and even big names like the Qatar World Cup and Soldier 76. Given how posts with an SK tag appear at least once a day, it'd be reasonable to assume that these bots think that Silent Kimbly is some sort of big thing, when as far as I can tell, is really not. Perhaps this is because of my posting on the Silent Kimbly archive blog, but it's just interesting seeing SK get more attention and at the same time upsetting, as this has been the only attention the comic has been getting aside from my own posts. And I was going to include this dialogue at the end of the item, but the spots has since stopped now. Although a legit blog about Buster Keaton has used this tag. This may not have to do with Silent Kimbly, but I wanted to round the fact total up to 35, so I crammed this in. Ryan Sears has a site that has minimal Kimbly content, but recently I found something interesting. The URLs for the site's pages look at a numeric ID system. For example, the number 1 is in the URL for Ryan's biography page, and the number 14 is linked to his contact page. There are not a whole lot of pages that you can get to on Ryan's site by merely clicking. You have 6 pages you can get to from the home page, and some sub-pages if you click out the links in the book section, but that's about it. But if you change the URL's number to 39, you get to a page you can't normally feel, like this dinosaur absolutely wrecking a watermelon. The total quantity of the numbers gets up to the hundreds, so if one were to look hard, they just might find some never before seen Silent Kimbly content. Not again. Grazer. What is it this time, Nico? There's something about my site. Fine, I'll check it out. I would advise that. Oh no. Well, geez, guess SK is screwed after all. So I guess Ryan Sears' site isn't active anymore, but aside from the Silent Kimbly comics shown out in the open, there probably wasn't really any SK content on that site, so I think we're lucky to have what we have. I was able to get to the site from Google Images when I found this text. Apparently there's an issue with the site itself. Perhaps Ryan Sears chose not to have the site be up anymore. I believe that this is a testament to how bad of a place Silent Kimbly is in. The best thing an SK fan can do for the comic at this point is to simply spread the word of this little-known comic and get it the recognition it needs. Finally, we're here, the very bottom of the iceberg. Unlike the last layer, there are a lot more things to discuss in this layer, and believe me, there are a lot of crazy discoveries in here. If you inspect some of the old Silent Kimbly comics on Windows, it'll contain the text 2001 Snowbound, all rights reserved. Perhaps this is a company that used to own Silent Kimbly. Curiously, there was a 2001 movie called Snowbound, but it's unlikely that it has anything to do with Kimbly. Next up is the fact that Silent Kimbly almost got manga. No, seriously. Apparently, Ryan CS asked for manga recommendations and ended up reading Yatsuba, Dr. Slump, One Piece, and of course, Frog Invader Zim. In the end, Ryan actually proposed the idea of making Silent Kimbly manga for the next month. I didn't see any Kimbly manga comics, but it's astonishing how close this came to being a reality. Of course, maybe this shouldn't have been that surprising since Ryan CS has several Japanese franchises listed on his interest list in LiveJournal. Speaking of Japanese culture, there is a trope on the internet involving female half-human, half-animal hybrids. I don't want anybody to stumble upon anything lewd or for me to get into trouble, so for now I'll just call them MGs so nobody knows how to look for content relating to the trope. Anyway, did you know that Ryan CS once drew Silent Kimbly as an MG? Apparently, she is part crab, part human, and is this way because apparently she woke up a little crabby. I'm sorry, I don't make these puns, but it's absolutely remarkable how this became an actual thing. In older Silent Kimbly comics, there is an evil doppelganger of Kimbly, or maybe it's a brainwashed Kimbly, I don't know, named Evil Kimbly. Evil Kimbly is typically up to no good, pulling malicious pranks and delivering targeted attacks to cute animals and bugs. There are only a few strips with Evil Kimbly, but it's interesting how ambitious of a webcomic Silent Kimbly is. This next one may come as an utter shock to a lot of you. Before Silent Kimbly was a webcomic, Ryan CS made a few Silent Kimbly comics that were somewhat different from the comics we're used to today. These comics, while still being somewhat lackey, have more detail and even showcase some powers Kimbly has. Apparently she can bend reality to her will. Giving Kimbly superpowers is a game changer in the lore scheme of things, and these abilities are even showcased in the new idea book. Ryan Cass said that these comics were inspired by silent films. Hey, now a second. If these comics are inspired by silent films, if they predate Kimbly's pun comics, even when the actual webcomic started without puns, mind you, then was Silent Kimbly never a pun on the term Silent K? Yeah, this really is a game changer. It turns out that Ryan CS is a game producer. He's mainly made games about Pocoyo, but it also turns out that the playground games I used to play at Funbrain were designed by him as well. It's funny how I owe part of my childhood to this one guy alongside Nitrom and Nintendo. Finally, we're here, the final fact in this video. You may remember how in my Silent Kimbly video, I mentioned that Ryan CS was pitching a show about Ferguson. Well, guess what? I found at least one storyboard for the show, titled Ferguson's Neighborhood. Apparently he has to clean some giant nose or something with the help of a special gadget. Unfortunately, we have no idea what this gadget is, because it's the only picture I have of the storyboard. But it's incredible how far down the iceberg truly goes. In Fast the Iceberg, 35 facts about Silent Kimbly, the most obscure and underrated webcomic of all time. Even if Silent Kimbly is as dead as a doorknob, it's still interesting seeing how much lore is behind Silent Kimbly as a comic. Honestly, I wish there were a bit more to say here, but that's really all I got on my mind. If you liked this video, check out the unofficial Silent Kimbly Tumblr blog at silentkimblyarchive.tumblr.com. Aside from discussing all the facts I just dumped, it also has a lot of Silent Kimbly strips archived using the Wayback Machine. And if you actually want to participate in the SK fandom, check out the Silent Kimbly subreddit at r/SilentKimbly. Silent Kimbly is really not in a great place right now. The comic isn't just ignored, it's as though it doesn't exist. But hopefully, one day, Silent Kimbly will get revived. It may be fun, everyone will get to see it for the comic it truly is. This video is the 5th video essay I've made so far, with the previous ones relating to VeggieTales, FNAF, Pokemon, and Silent Kimbly as a whole. I know it takes a while for me to make these video essays, and that's partly due to procrastination and the lack of faith in my ideas. This might be my last Silent Kimbly video for a while, but I still have a few more ideas, namely a few more videos about Scott Cawthon and VeggieTales, as well as a potential sequel to my Pokemon video, reviewing another commonly criticized franchise in Pokemon's place. There are also a few other videos, but their quality is more on the dubious side. I'm actually on the fence about which of these first 3 videos I should do next, or so for the first time, I am drawing opinions from the public. So, would you guys like a video about the old VeggieTales, Scott Cawthon, or another conservative Christian's Ultimate Guide video? Leave your opinion in the comment if there's an absolute favorite that you want to see get more attention. And as always, like and subscribe if you want to see more content. Let's hope for a brighter future for Silent Kimbly!